They say in life, you have to take a leap of faith. For Sister Maria Jose, her greatest leap came in 1997. After spending 17 years in the Philippines, Maria Jose had pretty much blended in. She held retreats, groomed disciples, and could even speak Tagalog. But then, God had more in mind for her. In 1997, at their annual monthly retreat, founder Jaime Bonet had a new mission for Maria Jose: to come to Singapore.
I heard of Singapore as a very prosperous place, and then how it changed in a few years, but I had no idea how was it, and actually I had to check in the map exactly where it was, because it was so small I couldn't find it. I thought it was part of Borneo, the whole island. I remember I have only one bag, and in the bag I had a pair of bedsheets, one towel, then some clothes, of course, my Bible, notebook, and not much, alarm clock. I don't think I had many more, because it was only one bag.
And with that bag filled much more with trust, Maria Jose arrived in Singapore.
When I arrived and I landed in Singapore, my surprise, I remember it was dark already because it was evening. And the taxi that I got, because went straight to the FMM in Holland, it was a Mercedes, the taxi. So I thought, wow, God is so good, no? The welcoming is so good. That I always remember. It was a white Mercedes taxi. So I thought, thank you, Lord. I think it's a good starting.
It was difficult at first, especially since Maria Jose was alone and did not know anybody here. All she had was a heart full of desire to get to know the people and to let them know about Jesus. After months of searching, God opened the door to the first Verbum Dei home in Block 407, Clementi Avenue 1.
The time we went to see the flat, we found it fantastic. We found it so good. Big hall. Imagine if I see a 3-room flat now, I wouldn't think that way. But that moment, we thought it was so good, and we were so happy because since this sister was a sister, she rented it out for us for $400 a month. Meanwhile, that a room, it was like $500, one room only.
And from this humble 3-room flat, Maria Jose and another Spanish missionary, Yolanda, began building their apostolate. They visited churches and universities, held retreats, and gave formation to the spiritually hungry, one of whom was Sandra. At that time, Sandra was 21 and studying to be a teacher. She was also a high flyer by church-going standards.
I was catechist in Holy Cross. I was helping in the RCIA class as a facil. I was the president of Legion of Mary, at NIE. So I was pretty much, you can say, an active Catholic. Yeah, but my spirituality then was just, I did things for God. But I never had a relationship with God, never.
In fact, it was Sandra's sister, Elaine, who first found the missionaries. The Xiao sisters had been looking for someone to conduct formation for their church retreat.
Yeah, I remember Elaine. She came back one day, and she was telling me, I found sisters, to conduct the retreat for our group. And I asked her, who, what's the name, what's the congregation, and she was saying Verbum Dei Missionaries. And I remembered vividly. I looked at her and I went, Verbum what? So that was my first impression of Verbum Dei community. But when I met them, when Elaine and I went to the house, it was a 3-room flat in Clementi Avenue 1. When we went to the house to plan the retreat a few weeks before the actual retreat, I was very struck with the simplicity.
After 1 year at Clementi, the community moved to a bigger home in Upper Thomson. This new house was perfect for the growing community and more outreach activities. More were starting to know and understand the Verbum Dei charism of praying and preaching. But the happiness of a stable base was short-lived. The landlord decided to sell the house just after 6 months. So the community was homeless again. A smaller home in Sembawang Hills became their temporary refuge as they searched for a more suitable place. But throughout the tumultuous year of uncertainty, Sandra's attraction to the community never faltered.
Elaine and I, we used to meet them for prayers and when we walk home, we would talk about them and we would wonder, we had everything. I mean, our parents, our friends, good friends, Singapore, with all the ability, to enjoy our life and things like that. But we didn't have that joy that the missionaries had, and we wanted that joy. And so I remember telling Elaine, I want that.
So when the community moved to their fourth home at Bury Road in the year 2000, Sandra decided to join the community as a missionary. 12 blissful years were spent here, forging friendships, guiding lives, bringing more to encounter God through His Word. But in 2012, a nagging problem soon came back to haunt the community.
I remember vividly, we saw the letter, from the landlord, and we opened up the letter and we were just shocked. I remember that scene, we just before going for mass, evening mass, and we just stood, and the whole community, with the letter, we were just staring. We couldn't believe the big jump, and we felt like, wow, this is really impossible. How are we going to pay off the rent, and what are we going to do now? To move where? How? And so it's tiring in that sense, and also it's tiring in the sense also for the people. The mission, it keeps changing. We keep changing around, and there's no stability. And for me, I really, it pains me a lot to see, because the Verbum Dei family has been growing over these 16 years. I've met the community 16 years ago, and I've journeyed through, and I've seen people growing, the Verbum Dei family growing, and that's the greatest joy. But to see the constant moving, the constant changing, it affects also the apostolate, and that is difficult. That is difficult. It's like I keep telling the community, even the Verbum Dei family, it's like we are nomads. We keep moving around. There's no stability, and I really like to have roots, because I think that's important in the mission.
So with a heavy heart, MJ, Sandra and the missionaries uprooted themselves from Bury Road and hunted tirelessly for yet another home. In June 2012, they moved back to their old neighborhood of Clementi, once again rebuilding the blocks at Taman Mas Merah.
My hope for Verbum Dei in Singapore is to have a permanent place, but not an empty place. Rather to fill it with the Verbum Dei family, to fill it with groups of people who can grow in the spiritual life, who can learn how to pray, who can also teach others how to pray, and can also lead the mission. So the reason of the house is really for the apostolate.